Hi friends. Make a little rainbow right there. Imagination. Today we're going to talk about how to break plateaus / continue seeing progress. For anyone that's an experienced lifter, I'm going to go through things to keep you moving forward. And for anyone that is not an experienced lifter, I'm going to give you tools to help you keep seeing progress or continue seeing more progress. So, Sadie, interviewer, ask me.
Are plateaus a real thing?
I think that all depends on the person and what you're doing. You can plateau if you're not changing your training, not changing your diet accordingly. So as you continue to grow, so I'll use myself as an example. I'm kind of stuck in this rut of the same weight. I haven't really seen a lot of progression. Granted, I've developed better shape, separation, but I'm not growing as much as I want to, and that's because I lost structure in my lifting. So what I mean by that is I wasn't progressively overloading consistently. You have to consistently outdo what you did the last time, and a lot of people kind of get in a comfortable state where they just stop pushing further and they start to kind of sit in a comfortable position. So diet plays a role in plateaus. So a lot of people don't think about how much they actually need to eat. So using myself as an example, I burn roughly 3,400 to 3,600 calories on a lifting day, if not a little bit more. And simply put, if I'm not eating an excess of close to 1,000 calories over that, I'm not going to put on more size. Your body produces something called MYOSTATIN that literally prevents your body from over muscling itself, because the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn. If you're not eating enough calories, why would your body let you put on more muscle just to burn more calories? That's not very efficient. A lot of people, especially people trying to put on size, undereat. So always keep that in mind. You can do what's the word I'm looking for? Base metabolic rate, calculator. So you can find a BMR calculator online. You type in literally, this is just general numbers. It's not exact science. It's a very generalized calculation. It's just based on age, height, weight, and sex, male or female. So you can do that to get an idea of how much you're actually burning, and you put in how much exercise you do, light, medium, heavy, or high or extra high. So you can kind of get a really good idea about how many calories you're actually burning, so how many you actually need to eat. So especially a lot of girls that are lifting, Sadie being an example, she was actually under eating by close to 1,000 calories because she didn't really realize how much she was actually burning. So burning 2,400 calories, she was only eating 1,300 on a meal plan that someone gave her. Called out.
So if I think I have found myself in a plateau, what would you suggest I do? Should I change everything I'm doing? My diet, my exercise, the type of exercise, just one thing? What do you think?
So it comes down to preference. So you could change your split. You could change how often you do certain groups or certain muscle groups. You can do more often, heavier. You can do hypertrophy training. You could do time and retention training. There's a lot of different tools you can use, but the one thing I would recommend first is to structure your workouts, or restructure them if you used to. And what I mean by that is track what you're doing and track the exact exercise, the exact amount of sets, reps, and weight you're doing, so that you can get back into a progressive overload. So that progressive overload concept, you have to do more than what you were doing. So whether it's one more set of that same workout at the same weight, or doing 2 extra reps, or upping the weight by 10 pounds, it's upping it in some way, shape, or form. So that's definitely one way to get past the plateaus, kind of take a step back, reevaluate the workouts you're doing, and kind of restructure and get more organized.
How often would I change my workouts? If I just change it, if I think I'm in a plateau, so I change my workout in some way or another, how long do I need to do that for to hypothetically see changes?
The human body is extremely adaptable, so your body can completely adapt to whatever workout you're doing in 4 to 6 weeks if you do not change anything. So your body can completely adapt to that workout pretty quickly. Your body adapts to really a lot of things pretty quickly. So I would recommend changing up workout style or rep style every month and a half. I honestly usually change it up every week or two, so I'll go bounce back and forth between doing like time under tension style sets, and then I'll have heavier explosive days where I tend to lean towards more free weight or compound movements, and you're doing heavier weight but more explosive training. So that's definitely, like, that's what I personally do. So there's an example. You can throw in HIIT if you're someone that's trying to burn extra calories and wants to lean out. You can or do like circuit style training. You can do a lot of supersets. So especially if you still want to get a lot of muscle activation and you only do like one set, or one workout, then one workout, then one workout. Try supersetting workouts together, especially if you want to hit like two different areas. So you can mix things up a little bit and just kind of stack them on top of each other. Just play around and try out different things, see what you like the most.
Can you touch base on overtraining?
Overtraining, honestly, like, I don't believe in it. There is to an extent. So I believe when you're depleted, you can feel when you're depleted. Like, when you're done. Go home. For people that work out for 3 hours, you're wasting your time. There's no reason to be in the gym for 3 hours. You'll never see anyone that's been lifting for 6-7 years that's putting in work that is in the gym for 3 hours. It's pretty rare to find, unless you're for some reason doing like 2 complete different muscle groups or something. But even still, like, you should have a break in between and like eat something or have a shake or consume something. But to an extent, you have to overtrain to continue going. You're always pushing past what you were doing last. That should always be your goal, is to push past what you just did the last week, or the time before that when you did that same workout, whatever it is. It's always to increase intensity, increase tension on muscle tissue. That's what you're trying to do. So in a sense, you're trying to overtrain what you did last week, but not taking rest days is it affects like lactic acid buildup in the muscle tissue, so it can actually prevent you from continuing to grow. But what happens when you don't take days off is what you're doing is you're developing these little micro tears in the muscle tissue. So when you don't take a day off, they don't get to actually repair themselves. So even though my split, I do chest, back, shoulders, arms, then legs. Even with my split, it's like I start with chest. My chest has 5 days of rest before I go back to chest again. But even still, continuously hitting it over and over and over again without a day off, or even like 2 days off, or even like a deload week where you do lighter style weights for like the whole week, where you let those micro tears heal. What happens is you become more prone to injury. You become what's the word I'm looking for? Like, muscle tissue gets more sensitive, ligaments get more sensitive. So you do need rest time. You need time to let those micro tears in the muscle tissue heal.
Can you talk about how there are factors outside of just what you're putting in your body and also what you're doing in the gym that can affect physical changes?
So you're talking about like rest, stress,
things of that, yeah.
So sleep's obviously really important. I'm very lucky. I'm a very strong sleeper. For people that struggle to sleep or aren't disciplined with their sleep, staying up super late, or put it this way, if you're getting less than, I would say, like 7 hours of sleep consistently, you are bringing down, you're bringing down recovery. So you're lengthening your recovery time. It's going to take longer for you to recover. Whereas if you have a strong sleep schedule, you can recover very easily in 2 to 3 days, and then that gives those micro tears more time to heal. So that's going to allow you to continually keep seeing results, keep seeing progress. Whereas again, if you keep like re-breaking down those same little micro tears, you'd never give the time or the muscle the time to actually heal and grow on top of itself and continue getting bigger or developing more. And then stress levels. I like to think lifting helps with stress levels, but stress in general, high stress jobs, really high caffeine intake, and I mean excessive caffeine intake. I mean, even the FDA says 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine is actually healthy for the average person. So I don't mean normal caffeine consumption. I mean like the people that are doing 600, 700, 800 milligrams of caffeine per day, what that does is, one, it starts to shoot your adrenal glands, so you'll produce less natural energy. Two, it increases cortisol production, and that's the same thing with like a high stress job, bad sleep schedule. Cortisol goes up. So cortisol is your stress hormone. Cortisol affects everyone negatively, whether you're a guy or a girl. Cortisol, I mean, it blocks like testosterone receptor sites, so it affects how your body absorbs your testosterone. That's the same thing for women. You still have testosterone, just not as much of it. So that's going to affect metabolism. That's going to affect how you grow. That's going to affect mood. There's a lot of different things that go into that, and especially when we're talking about lifting or exercise in general. Again, back to that kind of progressive overload, you have to continuously progress past what you did last. So if you're not motivated, if you're in a bad mood, like you're not going to do that. So I definitely think that plays a big role. And this is about not just plateaus, but how to continuously keep seeing progress. So for even people that, let's say you're like me and you've been lifting for 2 years and you've kept seeing results for that 2 years, or you haven't really hit a plateau yet, first thing you should look at is diet. Because a lot of people, again, even people trying to get bigger, are under eating. I was under eating even when I thought I was eating a lot of food. If you're not getting bigger, eat more food. It's that simple. It's gonna suck, but like that's one reason that I have a hard time eating enough now, is the only way for me to really hit that is to eat dirty. Like I have to eat such a high amount of food, and like if I'm gonna try and eat clean, that it just becomes like almost torturous. I'm force feeding myself like twice a day. So there's ways to do that. Again, it just depends on what your individual goals are, but switch up training would be the second thing to look at, is the type of training you're doing. So hypertrophy training, hypertrophy literally means the breakdown of muscle tissue. Hypertrophy is generally 8 to 15 reps. You should be failing between that 8 and 15. You shouldn't be failing at 6, you shouldn't be failing at 16. You want to stay in that gap, and pretty much all of your working sets should be failing sets. After that, you can break it down and do isolation, or like isolation volume work, which would be like cabled or cable or controlled like movements. Strength training is obviously going to be much heavier, much more explosive, and you're going to be eating a lot more food. And on top of that, you're also going to be doing less actual volume. Typically, like a lot of strength training routines that I've seen for people that simply just want to get stronger, you're going to be seeing a lot of like 3 to like 8 rep. You're generally not going to be doing much more above 8, but you're also going to be doing a lot of like 1 rep sets. So I know, like I've seen a lot of people gain a lot of strength with doing like 6 set 1 rep maxes, and just continuously trying to hit that or keep pushing. So you definitely need to establish a max, and then you're going to work from there. Volume training, which is just high volume, which all that means is sets times reps times weight. You're going to be doing a lot of volume of exercise, a lot of work. Again, it's a different way of just overloading muscle tissue, muscle fibers. There's a lot of different ways you can increase intensity. You can focus on simply the contraction and then just go from there. You can focus on controlled negatives. You could focus on controlled positives. Really, you should be able to control the weight no matter what you're doing, but changing up the tempo, it's something different. It's something that's going to add extra intensity on that muscle tissue. Did I cover it all? Is there anything you want to know, Sadie? Do you have any questions, baby?
How'd you get so swole?
How did I?
Yeah.
Chocolate milk.
Ooh.
And Gushers. And Call of Duty. What? For anyone that has inquiries or questions or wants advice on different training styles or different diet styles, just, you know, if you're just curious about something that has to do with continuing to see progress, whether it's isolating a specific muscle group, whatever it may be, you can contact us, ask us some questions. I'll be more than happy to, you know, help you guys out, give you some of the stuff that I've personally seen results with. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Was that funny?
Yeah.
But thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later. I'm a rambler?
Has anyone ever told you that?
That I'm a rambler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk a lot.